We're going to Fergal Boland, who's probably better known as a footballer, but is actually right now a hurler. Fergal, good morning to you. How are you?
How are you now, lads? Thanks for having me on.
The split personality of the dual player is something that you've had to embrace your entire life. How's that going for you at the moment?
Not too bad. So at the minute, it's kind of mainly hurling, but I suppose I'm not on the footballers with the minute. So I suppose I'm just kind of focusing everything on hurling, and that's kind of where I'm at the minute. I know the last few years I would always have been at this stage of the year with the Mayo footballers and then hurling with Tooreen. So it's kind of tricky enough to balance the two at that time of the year, because you don't want to be missing too much of the football, because if you miss it, I was kind of one of them players that if I missed something, I would have fell myself down the ladder a good bit. So I always had to be kind of involved in both setups, if that makes sense.
Do you feel like the skill set in hurling has helped you become a better footballer over the years?
Definitely there is good correlation there. Yeah, your hand-eye coordination, like obviously in hurling, it has to be really, really sharp, and that definitely does help when it comes back to football. Then your eye is in straight away, so it definitely does. And even talking to other lads, they'd feel the same about it as well. Yeah,
there was always a fear, I think, and this is going back 2 decades, that the hurlers would come back bulked up too much to be as nimble as they need to be. But then it turns out that the greatest Kilkenny team of all time had a lot of big men on it, and as time is progressing, we're realising that Limerick having a lot of footballers on their team has actually helped. Didn't do Grod Hegarty any harm, I think, is the general sense. So you've been able to work on both at the same time, it feels like, from your perspective.
Yeah, definitely. I would have found throughout the years, playing games, hurling is definitely a lot more physical than football. That's from personal experience. Even after games, even after Sunday, it's taken you 2 or 3 days now to recover from a game. Whereas football, you mightn't get as big a hits, I would have found. So I definitely think hurling is a lot more physical. At the minute, anyway. That's what I kind of feel.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. It's a hard one to pin down. I don't know. Is it just with the stick involved or whatever? But you seem to be picking up a lot more belts in the game. I know the last day now, we got a lot of the boys were sore, but I don't know. It's a good question, to be honest.
Which do you prefer playing, Fergal?
So I would have always kind of grown up, say in primary school. I'm from the village of Tooreen, so right in the middle of it. So I would always hurling would have been always number one for me. And then I would have kind of started playing football then as I was kind of getting older or whatever. But hurling probably would always have been definitely number one for me. Just where I'm from, everyone in the village where we're living at the minute, whatever, there's 300 or 400 people in the village, and everyone is just completely and utterly obsessed with hurling. Everyone would support our local club, Ahmore football and Mayo football, but everyone was just completely and utterly engrossed in hurling, and I suppose I probably got dragged into that as well. So I probably would. Hurling would be number one, yeah.
And sorry, I should probably know this, but have you reached this stage of the competition before in the past, or is this a new adventure for the club?
So this basically we won 4 Connacht titles, and then we got bet in 3 of the semi-finals. We lost to Naas last year, Father Neil's the year before, and then Ballyraggart in 2017. So this is the first year we've actually got to the All-Ireland final. So that's kind of where it's at now. Yeah, so it's nice to finally get over the line in the semi-final the last day. So we're just delighted now.
You look at where Naas have gone from last year to this year. It's pretty impressive. Yeah. So you can begin to dream as a club, I suppose.
Yeah, exactly. And even if you look in kind of more recent years, I suppose Mount Leinster Rangers, they won an All-Ireland intermediate final in a couple of years ago, and then they were in the senior final the year after. So that's kind of what the sort of our wild ambition, I suppose, at the minute, that would be to base it off that. But look, we haven't won. We're only in the final at the minute. We haven't won anything yet, so we know we've a massive task in a few weeks' time.
You had a big performance in the semi-final up in Cavan at the weekend as well, Fergal. It's nice. There was a great photograph I saw of yourself and your Uncle Hugh on the pitch celebrating afterwards. He has the hat on and the programme curled up. He looks like the stereotypical GAA fan. It must have been a lovely moment.
Yeah, it was a brilliant moment. He's a gas man. I don't know how we got into the pitch before the game to take pictures as well. He ran on and got in from the stand, but he always seems to be there. But it was an unbelievable win. It felt like there was so much pressure on that game that we had to win because we lost 3 previous semi-finals. So just at the end, I suppose seeing the joy of all the supporters was just something special now that I'll never forget.
You'd said before the game, or after the game, that prior to the throw-in, it was one of the most nervous you'd ever been before a match.
Yeah, it was crazy. Even like the game was originally down for Saturday, so we were kind of planning all week for Saturday. With the kind of in our head, we knew that there was a chance that it might be Sunday. And like even leading up to the game, I know I was so nervous the Friday, Saturday. For some reason, and I usually wouldn't get nervous before games, but I just felt like there was so much on the line that if we lost another semi-final, it would be so hard to kind of come back and get to that stage again. Because like we in Mayo, like I know there's 2 or 3 clubs. We have such a rivalry with Ballyhonus and such respect for them. But like it's every year there's literally nothing between us. And I know the last few years we've won a lot of county titles, but we've won them by a point or whatever. So it's a long road to get back to a semi-final. So we're just delighted basically to get over the line there the last day.
Fergal, you are playing hurling. You said at the start you're not with the footballers at the moment. Was that difficult to deal with, or are you getting on with it? How do you feel about that whole thing now?
Yeah, like I suppose it kind of happened. I kind of got let go the week before the county final, and it was just literally coming home from Tooreen training. And at the time, like, geez, obviously you're crestfallen, you're heartbroken that you're gone away from it. And then I suppose as the weeks go by and you're playing with Tooreen and there's a good buzz around the group, you forget about it for a while. But like obviously when the hurling is over in 3 weeks' time, I'll reassess that. And obviously it'll be difficult not being involved because geez, some of my best friends are involved in that team. But yeah, look, that's the way it is at the minute. It allows me now at the minute to really push everything into Tooreen hurling and focus 100% on it. But I suppose when the season finishes with the hurling, I suppose reassess my performance for the club and the county and see where I can get better off the field, and then have a good, hopefully good club season with my club Ahamore, and hopefully try and push my way back into the team again. And
is the conversation straightforward? It's like, look, you need to do this, this and this to get back in, or it's just like we're going a different direction? How does it break down? Yeah,
kind of a bit of both. Like to be fair, like I know there's definitely areas of my game that I suppose that would have been highlighted that I need to improve on. So it's up to me now in the next couple of months to try and work on them and really focus on them and have a good season with my club Ahamore and try and force my way back in, I suppose. But yeah, that's kind of straightforward enough, I suppose, conversation. Yeah, really.
Like, is it the 7 stages of grief? Like, anger, disappointment. Like, screw you, I'm going to prove you wrong. Or okay, yeah, I understand. Did you have any sense it was coming? I suppose.
Yeah, I probably would have been caught on the hop of small bits. I suppose I played a good bit. Came on in a lot of all the championship games last year, so I thought, I might be in the panel for whatever start of the league or start FBD and then see how I get on. But look, that's completely up to the manager's decision. Just wasn't to be. But at the minute, like, to be honest, I would have been disappointed for 2 or 3 days, but after that, then I was so lucky that I had something to focus on, and no better place to go back to than Tooreen, your home club, and with lads you grow up with, and I have such respect for that. I haven't really thought about it a whole pile since, to be honest, and I won't until after we finish with Tooreen in 3 weeks' time.
The extent of Kevin McStay's backroom team is quite incredible. You've got Donny Buckley and Stephen Rochford, as we know, in there.
Yeah.
Liam McHale has the responsibility for the under-20s liaison. Is Damien Mulligan the man you need to impress with Ahamore? Like, he seems to be the guy given the responsibility for club liaison within the backroom team. So for players looking to break into that Mayo panel, is he the man that I guess you need to impress?
Yeah, I suppose he is. Like, I suppose they're, in fairness to all of them, they would have been at a lot of the club games and stuff. So I worked with Donny and Stephen Rochford before. So like, it's really, you nearly need to impress them all, I suppose. And like, it's probably shown if you play well with your club, you'll get a chance to back in with your county. And obviously now, like with the split season, it's not ideal to come in like down through the years. You might have had a championship game at the start of the year in April, and then if you played well in that, you might get back into whatever the county set up. But like, obviously with the split season and the way Mayo works, you're not playing league football till into May, June. So that's kind of right in the peak of championship inter-county football as well. So it's difficult to force your way in mid-season. So it's just kind of that's the way it is with club season, really. But,
yeah. The one thing I would say about Mayo is that they've seemed to be better than most other counties at making sure that players who leave the system aren't gone forever. That there's loads of players who actually have been brought back in at later stages, having gone away and done some specific work, and gone on to have absolutely brilliant careers, footballer of the year in some instances. So I hope that's giving you some comfort, is it?
Yeah, like even if you look back to, I suppose, Colin Boyle or even Tom Parsons, a few of them, and I've been in contact with a good few of them, like they've were let go and then came back, and basically there were different players when they came back in their careers. I know Colin Boyle was kind of on the periphery, probably similar enough to myself, not playing a whole pile, and then came back and won 4 or 5 All-Stars. Same with TP. He got let go and whatever in 13, and then came back, started midfield then in 14, and had a great career at midfield. So yeah, it definitely does. You look at them stories, and it definitely does give you a bit of inspiration. But like, when the hurling's over, I'm going to work my hardest in whatever gym skills, the whole lot, to try and force my way back in.
You bring up Tom Parsons there. I was kind of, when you talked about like this is basically your life for so long, have you thought about like the exterior life to being just a GAA player? Because when your identity is so much bound up in being a Mayo hurler and footballer, a club hurler, a club footballer, when a significant portion of that is taken away, you do look around and go, geez, I need to make sure that the rest of my life is in order here. That's a good point. Yeah, I suppose like what I found is, even at this time of the year, like if I was involved with Mayo and Tooreen, like your whole life basically is taken up with either going hurling training or either doing a gym session with Mayo or having a meeting or everything. And now you feel like, you have so much free time for other things in your life. So obviously you get to spend more time with your girlfriend, your family, the whole time as well. So which is good as well. But there definitely is, like, it's amazing when you actually that is taken away from you. The amount of free time is just insane, because like with any intercounty team, once you get up in the morning, that's all you're thinking about is how can you eat well today to be training better this evening? How can you get your protein intake in and all that sort of stuff? So once that's kind of taken away, there's a huge gap there really in your life. But yeah, so definitely.
What was the crack like on the bus home on Sunday, Fergal? I heard there was a pit stop in Granard to watch the World Cup final.
Yeah, it was serious crack. Now we decided to we left Cavan. I think it was just that when the World Cup final was starting, and then we stopped at half time. I think it was in Granard, and Ballygunner, Ballyhale was on, which I was kind of nearly more interested in. And then the World Cup was on, and we stayed there until in the normal time, and then come back to our village. So there's no pub or anything in our village, so we go to our kind of the neighbour our parish, which is Ahmore. So that's the pub we go to.
That's Eileen's pub, is it?
Yeah, Eileen's. Yeah. So it's kind of famous all around the country, but always some crack in there now, in fairness, with some night. And even I was talking to one of the older fellas in the club on Monday morning, and he said he'd many a good night in Frains, which would be the pub in Tooreen. He said, but that took the biscuit. He said that was something special, and it was just amazing. Even thinking back, like everyone was in such good form, everyone's on such a buzz, like, so it'll definitely be one of the nights I'll never forget.
Nathan Murphy has been WhatsApping me in the middle of this, reminding me of a story that Tommy Walsh told about. He was handing out medals, was very excited because he thought, finally I'm going to go to training and I'll have one over on Brian Cody. And he sidles up to Cody at training and he's all happy with himself, and he's like, I met a man who had 24 club championship medals.
Yeah.
And Cody goes, oh yeah, Joe Henry from Tooreen. And I was like, what? Because obviously it's famous. So he's a club legend, right?
Yeah, he's club legend. Yeah, his brother would have been one of the founding members of the club. But Joe would train us up all along, and he lives in Castlereagh at the minute. But he's a legend in the club. He was on an All-Star trip back in the 80s, so he's a big legend in the club, Joe is. So
maybe that's where Cody had his inside information. But Tommy was like, yeah, and I have this picture in my head now of like Tommy constantly trying to find hurling trivia that he could ask Cody a question, and Cody went, oh no, but Mastermind knows it all.
Yeah, I actually remember that Tommy coming up. He presented the medals to us, gas man.
There's crack out of Tommy, I'll tell you. There's a man passionate about the sport. Is the pressure
Yeah.
off now? It's Monaleen, the Limerick champions in the final. What is the weekend of January 14th or 15th for you, Fergal? So
Yeah.
is pressure off now?
So,
You're in uncharted territory, I suppose.
Well, yeah, but like I suppose at the start of the year, like once always our aim the last few years would have been to win an All Ireland intermediate club title, and that's not sounding cocky or anything. We know in order to do that we have to win our own county and then Connacht. But like I suppose we're looking at the game in a few weeks' time. We're not going up there. We want to win, and if we don't win, it's not going to be, it's going to be a small bit of a letdown. So we're definitely that's our aim. We're not happy just to be in Croke Park and play in Croke Park, as special as it will be. All we want to do is win in 3 weeks' time. And I suppose like it's going to be a special night for the club. But we have to make sure now that we do our job and we play. We're supposed to be 1 hour away from winning All Ireland title, and we just have to make sure we try and do our best to do that.
Well, look, we wish you the very best with it, Fergal. You've been great with your time this morning. Enjoy the Christmas break, and thanks a million.
Thanks a million, lads. Have a good Christmas.
That's Fergal Boland there, giving us his thoughts ahead of the All Ireland Intermediate Club Hurling Final.